Hello, good morning. Welcome to Planet AP. If you're new here, it's super crazy out here, but you're gonna love it. Today, I'm super excited because we're talking about something called the Quantum Crumble. Weird signs that you're actually quantum leaping. And the reason this is so important is when we don't know these signs, we actually take them for the opposite of what they actually mean. So you might look at these signs because they're actually very counterproductive on the surface, which is the 3D. Because they're that counterproductive, you might think that that means a bad thing. And so if that's what you think, you're going to be like, oh my God, Anna, I tried quantum leaping and it didn't leap for me. It didn't work for me, which is why. And I say this with all my heart because I have gotten a bunch of emails, texts, comments from you guys telling me, oh, Anna, I started quantum leaping and then this started to happen. I was manifesting XYZ and this happened. And they're just so blown away by what happened. And I'm going to tell you exactly why that happens today, in this video, okay? And we're going to talk about the basic thing we're going to talk about, the first thing, the foundation of everything is what the frick is quantum leaping, right? Because you need to understand the essence and the weight and the depth of what it means to be able to relate it with all that happens in your reality as a byproduct of it, okay? So, because here's the thing. I am in the business of quantum leaps, of total reality shifts, right? If you want to manifest just the one thing, there's a lot of other channels out there that will teach you, hey, how to get that guy to want you in 30 days or less, blah, blah, write a letter and put it under your pillow, whatever. I feel I have studied from those people and I've seen their work, and my own conclusion through the lens of my own life and my clients was that no, hold up. This is not just about that one thing, because when you are going to get that one thing that you're manifesting, it will still not feel enough, right? So I'm here for total reality shifts, for not just the one thing, but like entirely the world, that world works for you shifts overnight, because it gets to be that juicy, it gets to be that fun, and it gets to be that massive, right? So without further ado, also I do want to say, okay, before the further ado, I do want to say I love you guys so much. Like one of the favorite things that I get to do and have the privilege to do every day is literally just read through your comments. And I do my best to respond to every single person. It might take me a hot minute or two, but I love responding to you guys and I love reading your comments, and I love you guys, man. I love you guys. Like, we're almost a community of 6K people. To think that 30th Jan, 17 days ago or something, I was at what, 700 subscribers? And we've grown to a family of almost 6K. I love you guys, man. And I'm so grateful I have the privilege to share this with you, because I love this work with my heart and my soul. It has completely changed the essence of my life. It has changed the way that I show up in my life, the way that I prioritize things in my days, the meaning I give to everything, but most importantly, my relationship with myself and God. And I think that that is the most powerful takeaway that I want to give you as well. It doesn't matter what your religion is, but as long as you do believe that there is a God up there, there is an operant power, whatever name you give it, my belief is that all of this is just a way for us to strengthen our faith. So much so that no matter what happens over here, our faith carries us home. Our faith is the light that gets us through every single storm, because what may appear as a storm is never actually meant to harm you. No matter what is going on here, there's this verse in the Quran that I really love and I live by it. And it says, فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا, which is Arabic, and it translates to, verily, with hardship, there is ease. And what is most beautiful about this is that Allah, God, He doesn't say that, well, after hardship, there is ease, or before it, you might find some ease, or just cross the road of hardship, you'll find ease there. No, He says, with it. What does with mean? With means these two fingers, they're together, right? Hardship and ease are defined this way. that they're intertwined, that they come as like a duo, a package deal. So yes, you may be thinking, looking at the 3D, thinking, oh my God, this is such a big hardship, but hey, there's ease right there, right there. And what keeps us, I've noticed, or what kept me for a very long time from finding that ease was simply not believing that it existed. That I saw the 3D fall apart in front of me and I would think, man, how cruel, God. Why would you do that, God? And I completely innocently forgot or just chose not to be mindful or aware of the fact that, hey, it's coming with ease. They're kind of like a duo, right? So, well, if this is a hardship, I get to believe and live in the belief that there is ease in this for me. And if I live with that belief every single day, if I live with the consciousness of God that He is always, every single day, doing what is best for me, no matter what the 3D is showing me, I will live a much more peaceful life, a much more illuminated life, a much more patient life, a much more magical life. And this realization, again, it doesn't matter whether you're Muslim or not. At the end of the day, God is for everyone. And it's the same God. It's the same operant power, right? And I find so much peace in this specific verse because it just reflects back to me exactly the foundation of what we're going to be talking about today, like signs that your manifestation, your quantum leap is actually happening, because that's the ease in the hardship, right? So let's look at this, right? When we're quantum leaping is a total shift in your reality. Total shift in your reality. I forgot the I here, so obviously shift. But look at over here. This is you, okay? This is you, and this is your current timeline. Now over here, you begin to manifest some shifts. You start to quantum leap. You start to do some self-concept work. You start to really lock the frick in. You start to lock in, and here's what happens. Instantly, as you begin to lock in internally, remember this is an internal lock-in. Internally, your energy shifts. Your energy begins to shift over here. And then from this timeline, you shift to a different timeline, a new timeline. And the old one starts to fall apart. It starts to fade away. But this shift over here, this right here, this is the main part. Now, to explain this analogy to you, I'll give you the analogy of a house, all right? So let's say this was your old house. Obviously, I am not an artist. I don't know why I drew the new house like that. I don't know what I was doing there. But let's say you have a piece of land, all right? So this is your land. And on this land, you've built this old house. And it's like, let's say it's 20 years old, all right? Now, 20 years old, and 20 years later, you're like, you know what? It's a nice house, sure. It's been there for me. It's held me and familiar. I grew up here. It's good. It's safe, blah, blah. But I kind of want a new architecture. I don't like the way that the house is built. I don't like the architecture of the house. I don't like how the rooms are. I want to change everything about this house. Now, for you to do that, right, what needs to happen? If you want to change the entire architecture of the house, does that mean you just get an interior designer in here and whip up new paint on the walls? No. That means that you first have to demolish the old house. You gotta demolish it completely for there to be an empty land, and that's where you will build your new house. I just got another idea to explain to you, but I'm gonna get that. I don't want you to see it. So that means that for you to go from this reality to this one, this needs to happen. This old house needs to be demolished so that now you can build a new house here. So that's the first sign that your quantum leap is actually on the way, right? Everything starts to fall apart. Now, what happens is that you go now you start doing some self-concept work, right? And then you wake up and you're like, okay, let's say I'll give you an example. Let's say you're currently in a job that you absolutely hate. You don't want to be in this job anymore. And then you come to me and you're like, okay, Anna, I want a quantum leap. I want to be in a reality where I am making screw you money. I feel abundant. I love my work. I have this, I have that, and everything's so aligned. Da, da, da. We do some activation. You start doing your self-concept work. And then 3 days later, you get fired. you get fired. And then you go like, Anna, I got fired? I thought we were calling in abundance. I just lost my job. Yeah. Yeah. Like, here's what it is, right? In your old reality, you sort of locked yourself. That was like the walls of your old reality, the belief systems that held that reality true, the loyalties you had, the assumptions you had, the consent you had, every single thing from that old reality was this cage that had locked you in. And so as you begin to internally shift, because remember, quantum leaping, again, it is about inside out change. It's about inside out shift. It's about creating from source, not creating, but rather choosing, right? It's about choosing the reality you want to have reflected. So then when you're internally now reflecting a different frequency, all that is no longer, all the things in your life, the people in your life, the places, the jobs, every single thing that is no longer in resonance with your new energy will fall apart. And that is a great thing. Painful? Yes. Great? Also yes. With hardship, there is ease. So the hardship will look like everything's falling apart. The ease is what? You are elevating. You're going into an entirely different timeline, right? So you are now outgrowing your old cage. You're expanding. So life is literally rearranging itself to your new frequency. It's not a setback, it's a redirection. It's not a setback, it's a redirection. Let's say you were in a hot and cold narcissistic relationship, and what you wanted at first was like, I want this person to see me for who I am. I want to manifest them back, blah, blah. And then you start to like do your little quantum leaps, your self-concept work. You're like, no, you know what? I am worthy. I deserve love, da-da-da. And then 2 days later, that guy, he blocks you out of nowhere. And you just fall to your knees crying because you're like, no, but like I really wanted that. No, look, when you commit to a quantum leap, you gotta commit to the very real, not just possibility, but very real byproduct, which is gonna be the old falling apart. It just, those two, you cannot build a new house on top of the old house. You gotta demolish it. You gotta break it. And then you renovate. And then you build fresh. So if you actually want a like when you're actually fully in it, man, have you got to be okay with letting go. And I'll tell you, the ego will fight you on this. Your soul will pull you up, right? Your soul will elevate you. It will guide you, but your ego will fight you on it. Your ego will say, no, 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 not this person, not this thing. No, 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 this is all my familiar. What's going on? Everything's falling apart. Everything's going away. Yeah, the cost of your new life will be your old one. And that's a sad realization, but it's also a necessary one, because this level of consciousness that created the reality you're currently living will not sustain the reality you're going to. It's like, the version of you that created all those problems, she can't or he can't go with you where you're going. They'll always stay stuck. They might always feel unworthy. They might always need validation from someone else. And so the moment you decide, no, I gotta step, I'm setting boundaries. I no longer tolerate this energy in my life. So then things will fall apart. You will lose friends. One of the hardest things for me, I think, to grasp was that I would lose friends, because there were so many people in my life that I had been tight with my whole life. And the moment I started to quantum leap, right, I swear to you, people were dropping out of my life like hotcakes. At one point, I remember this one night I was sitting and I was like, God, are you even going to leave a friend or two for me? Because at this pace, I will have nobody, right? And it was just that shift in your own energy. And it wouldn't even be like a big thing that had to happen. It would just be so out of the blue, like, what just happened here? So random. And one day you're just this tight and the other, it's just like you're strangers. And so one of the most important things for you to do while you're quantum leaping is to hold that space for yourself, to ground yourself, to Know that it's okay to grieve. You will feel that pain. You're literally losing. I wouldn't say losing, but you're literally moving on, walking away from a whole part of you. And that's not easy. But the way that I like to do it, or the way that I think about it, and this is a process that I even added in my second book that is coming, but I call it Welcome to Your Funeral, because I like to honor that part of my life, that part of myself, and literally throw her a funeral. Every time I'm doing a big quantum leap, I'm like, honey, treat it like you're like a loved one dying. When a loved one passes away, you're not angry at them. You don't go like, oh, screw you for doing this, doing that. No, like when a loved one passes away, no matter what happened, you just have love, forgiveness, and prayers for them, right? And something about it is so final, right? There's no coming back from that. And so I have like, even in that book, like in my book, I created this meditation, which is literally like you watching that part of you, giving her a funeral, giving him a funeral, and saying whatever you need to say. And it, even while I wrote it, it just brought tears to my eyes, because I was like, this is so powerful. And it's so heartbreaking, but it's so necessary, because it doesn't tell you that shut up, like don't be sad about it and just like toxic positivity or whatever. It says, no, honey, grief is the last act of love that we do for those who are no longer in our lives. Grief is our grace. Grief is our kindness. It is our mercy. It is our right. It is all that love that has nowhere to go. And it swells up around your eyes and you cry and cry and cry. And you gotta hold space for yourself through it, because your old reality will fall apart. And when that happens, you don't start to question. You remember there is ease in this. I just get to grieve this, because this is a death of all that was. And it was necessary, so that now I get to go to a place where I can experience all that now is, all that I know I deserve to live. Because do you really want to live the rest of your life fighting tooth and nail for somebody who barely gives you breadcrumbs of affection? Do you really want to spend the rest of your life in a job you don't like, job you hate to your core, that drains the life out of you, around people that just talk smack and you don't enjoy their company? Your soul will call out on you at moments and moments and moments, and eventually will bring you to a point where you're like, all right, I'm ready to shift. But ready to shift also means ready to let go. And the sooner you accept that, the smoother that process gets to be. Because at first I used to fight it. At first I used to be like, no, 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 God, don't do this, don't do that. But then I said, no, wait, hold up. I can't pray for something and then be mad when God is making space in my life for that prayer to be answered. I can't pray for something and then be mad when God is creating space in my life for my prayer to be answered. That's powerful. And that's the realization that that's the difference that makes the difference. Because you know that even at the sight of destruction, seeming destruction, it might look like your life is on fire. I sure felt that. My entire, God, a company I built with my blood, sweat, and tears, 9 people. When I didn't know, and from not knowing a thing about business to like coming all the way there, and then walking away from it, being forced to walk away because there was no other way, to have another company you've built again, blood, sweat, and tears with your friend, and have to literally feel forced by God. Literally, like there was a voice in my head that wouldn't stop. It would just like, girl, you need to get out. You need to leave. You need to walk away. Screw the money you invested. Screw everything. You just need to get out. So many people, places, every single thing. I was like watching my life on fire. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And that's when God taught me the greatest lesson, that you don't have to do anything but just grieve it. Grieve it. Allow it to go through you so that you step into the reality you're really here for. the life you do deserve to live, a life of ease and flow and joy and inspiration and love, abundance. But I had to just say, okay, God, I surrender, I give up. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just here. Where do I need to let go? So I cried my eyes out for weeks. And then it was beautiful. It was radiant. It was illuminating. I would have never known how glorious that light could be on the other side if I didn't allow myself to live in the courage to walk through that depth of darkness, because this destruction is gonna look a lot like walking through the depths of hell. But you just let go and you say, God, I'm here. I surrender. You light the way, I'll follow. Period. And does he light the way? Heck yeah. In ways you cannot possibly imagine. And that's the gift of this work. That you remember that the biggest thing you're letting go with that old reality is the version of you that felt compelled to control everything, that felt like they had to fight to control and fight to make things happen. And that is the greatest gift, because when you leap into a reality where you're living with God consciousness, where you're living with the knowing of who is the doer of it all, who's got your back, who is on your side no matter what the 3D is showing you, then you got a different kind of swagger. You're just like, you know what? I don't care what the 3D is showing me. I know that when I pray to God for something, and when I believe that thing, God has already given it to me, and I live in the joy and the feeling of it, this reality has no choice but to catch up, and God will lead the way. God will make it happen for me, because that's how powerful he is. I just need to believe that he's got my back. If I can believe, think about this, right? When you were a little kid and you were scared of the dark, and maybe you were close to your mom or your dad or anyone, but there was an adult that held you closely and they said, hey, it's okay, I got you. And you put all your trust in the world in that little hug they gave you. And you knew that no matter what, I'm protected, I'm safe. So if we have the capacity to trust humans with that level of intensity, that blind faith that no, I know you've got me. What level of faith can we have when it comes to the divine, right? So number 2, you get too emotional. All right. So you might experience this random surge of sadness or anger, or just like you're just feeling so much. You're feeling so many emotions come up. Before my recent quantum leap, which is like the past 15, 20 days or whatever, I had a week of like, I was to tears every single day. I was crying my eyes out like for 4 or 5 hours. And I remember I was talking to one of my best friends and I was telling them that they were trying to like make me feel better. And I was like, I know you're trying to make me feel better, but I actually know why this is happening. And they were like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm actually quantum leaping right now. The self-awareness was through the roof, right? I was like, I'm quantum leaping and this is just old energy leaving my body. It's leaving my system. I'm detoxing. And my friend was like, bet, I'm here for you, bro. So your system is resetting and your old energy is leaving. It's also in NLP, we call this the healing crisis, which is that it's like right before you get well, if you're sick, right before you get well, you actually get worse. So you get worse before you get better. So that drop, that dip in your energy is actually your toxins leaving your body, your energy shifting, and your body's getting used to a new energy, a new normal, basically, right? Number 3, there's delays or blocks. So you might notice that things that were working very smoothly before, now there's suddenly all these delays and things. For example, I'll give you an example. I hired someone to work with me in December. And I was like so locked in, and we both were super locked in. And I was like, yeah, I exactly know how I'm taking my business, blah, blah. Mind you, all those things that I thought I knew were coming from my 3D mind and my ego, basically, my logical thinking, right? So I hire this person, and then they come in here for their first work day. And then I kid you not, they just disappeared on me. They ghosted me. And I was like, how could you just ghost me like that? I just hired you. Literally, they ghosted me, and they had their own reasons for what was going on in their life. But point is that delays and blocks happen. You might notice that you're trying to do something that you think will move you in the direction closer to your goal. But if it's not an aligned action, God will literally put blocks in your way and just be like, all right, redirect her or redirect him. And that's what happened. And then, a month later, now in Jan, when all of my inner quantum leap started to come up, and then I was just like, I moved different with everything, right? I had just a whole new energy, a whole new, like, it was like every action I took was just guided. I was guided through every step of the way. And that had to happen. But it wouldn't have been this way if I was still operating from the logical thinking. I had to completely hands up, give up. I said, okay, I'm not even going to try to figure this out. Like, I just know that God will inspire me and literally tell me. Like, I will just know what to do. When I sit on my laptop, I'll know what to do. And that's what happened. I just knew it. Things that previously felt so hard just happened. So blockages are not blockages, they're redirections, okay? Then number 4, second last, triggers and tests, okay? So you might notice that you're getting triggered more and more often. That the response that emerges from you might actually feel like a bigger response. You might actually want to react really big. But here's the thing. When those moments happen where you have the opportunity to be triggered or react to something, you're actually being tested, right? It's a test because you're being tested to see, do you have what it takes to sustain the reality you're calling in? So if you still, once again, operate or react from the old story, then that means you're still in that story. You're not fully aligned within. But if something happens in your 3D and you're just like, you look at it and you go like, okay, no, I'm going to respond from my new story. That's the final seal. That's you telling God, I'm ready. I put my money where my mouth is, right? If I said I'm ready, I'm showing it to you. This is how I'm responding. And that's when it comes around, right? And then finally, neutrality sinks in. You no longer desperately seek for that thing to shift in your 3D. You walk with the knowing that it's done, and you're very neutral about it. You're just like a chill guy. You're like, it's all good, G, with your shades and everything. You're like, it's cool. I got this. It's happened. Gang was good. You know what I mean? But that's what happens, okay? So my final thing to say to you is that a lot of you, especially over here, we are all together quantum leaping. There's almost over 1,500 of you, or 2,000, I don't even know, who have gotten the quantum leaping transmission. There's an insane number of you that have gotten my 21-day activation. So I know you guys are shifting day in and day out. Every second I refresh, someone's gotten the transmission. Every second I refresh, someone's gotten the 21-day activation. So you guys are shifting, right? And so while you're shifting, you got to be aware of these things, because this is a very real flip side of it. And when this happens, you got to stand on business. You got to be like, nope, I know what's up. I know what's up. Like, I will stand on my business. I will live from the reality that I know is true, right? Focus over here in your 4D, in your inner knowing, move with it. Remember, the 3D is just changing forms all the time. Okay, I love you guys. If you still haven't gotten my Quantum Leaping transmission, it's free. There's a PDF guide with Quantum Leaping questions. You can get it from the first link over here. If you want to get a 21-day plug and play reality shifting process, that's the second link or the third link. I don't know, but it's going to be one of those links. It's called the Zero BS Formula. It comes with a morning activation and another method to do in the morning, and a nighttime meditation to do, and then like a 2-hour workshop that explains every single thing to you. And then if you want to work with me one-on-one, I'm currently doing activation calls, which are 90 minutes, where I send you a questionnaire before the meeting, you fill it out, and then in that meeting, we activate you into your quantum leap, and I give you very specific steps to follow to sustain that. It's on a juicy discount. So if you want to grab that 90 minutes, I would love to talk to you. If you have any questions, insights, breakthroughs, shares, or just a burning desire to get me to make a video about something other than RAS, those of you who are asking me to record a video on RAS, I got you. That's the next one. But if there's anything else, drop in the comments below. I love you. I will see you in the next one. Bye.